Hello, Kerbals, and welcome to Mining the Man and More, part 22. Lots of docking and escape from the man. Well, here we are. We're starting off at the Govanon Smith God Asteroid Base. And by here, I'm measuring what size modules do I need to attach or to build on the next build to get it over to the next edge. And I try to judge by using the pods that we got there at the moment, so yeah, I think I got a pretty good idea. Let's get building. Okay, a simple build. This is going to be the, I can't remember, yeah, the science bay, that's it. And I'm going to put a shoulder joint on this. And using the method I used before, I'm going to use 2 empty tanks and just angle them. Now, trying to get this to look good isn't that easy. I suppose I could have put and attached a module on top of one of the shoulders to make it look good, and I could have put a docking port on the bottom, but as you'll notice here, I only put the 2 docking ports on here. Well, no matter. Oh yes, and also I needed a counterbalance. You can see the center of mass as we shown by here. I put a fuel tank on one side that I can decouple. Now look at the torque on the Kerbal engine redux. If I alter the weight of the tank so that torque is down to 0, that means that the thrust of the entire rocket is now center. So we shouldn't have an imbalance and we should launch and, well, work fine. So let's get up there. And I forgot to hit record during launch halfway up into the atmosphere. So here we are, we start off by here. And then we head off into space. Because this is going to be a rather long episode, or at least it took longer for me to make this episode, so it's going to be full of a lot of docking and escaping from the man, as the title suggested. Okay, so now we're launched, we're in orbit. Now it's time to set up a maneuver. And it's easy enough, just add a maneuver, stretch out the maneuver node, and depending on where the close approach markers get, you can just adjust the maneuver node until you get it there. Simple enough, just need a bit of practice to work on that, as some people have been complaining that rendezvous is quite hard, and it is when you first start off. It's something like riding a bicycle, you have to get used to it. But at the moment we got things to worry about, and yes, I have noticed those struts were hanging in midair. I think somehow they attached to the fairing. Okay, now we're coming in for docking. Okay, and I've balanced the RCS on this so that it is centered to the center of mass. And I saved it so I could reuse this design as many times as I require for building this station. Now it's just a simple method of coming in slowly. Yes, if you're coming in for docking, this docking alignment tool is awesome. You can line everything up easily when you're far off and then come in slowly for docking. Hence the reason why I skipped time and we're by here. Okay, now that we've docked, there's no need to add struts to this module, I think. We'll add it to the next one once we attach it to the bottom there. So all you have to do is decouple. We can decouple that tank as well after arming the what do you call it? The claw knows all. Yes, and the reason why there's a claw on there, oh yes, problems. I almost forgot here. I could not detach this, even though the decoupling had worked. It's, for some reason, would not let go. I think it's because the game thinks the struts are connected to the rocket, and I can't detach that part because it's the decoupler, because they think it's a root part. So decoupling or at least detaching the entire rocket from there, and everything lets go. That is a weird bug, and it's going to plague me again in this episode. Never mind. It means there's going to be more debris around the base, but that's something we can work out later. But the reason why I put the claw in here is because I can come in with the MechJebra controlled rocket and dock, or at least attach it to it, and then I can deorbit them both at the same time. And always we love a bit of fiery death, so here we go. The first explosions of the episode. And as always, that fairing module part seems to survive the re-entry, so I'll bugger it. Anyway, here we are. I did launch this into orbit around the man, was it last episode? I think so. And now we have to land it. So who we got in the cockpit? We got Matty Kerbal, sorry I just knocked the mic, but there. And we're going to set her off on the course to land at the site, or at least the man mining site Mark II. Okay, we've detached that, and perhaps I shouldn't have at that point. You'll see in a moment. Anyway, once you're coming down, handy tip: reduce your speed at certain points when you're at certain heights from the man. Like we're at 10 kilometers, so I decide to bring it under 200. There we go. I'm deactivating those engines, control from the cockpit, but there, and we're going to use the engines underneath the rover to land. And it wasn't enough. We were coming down too quickly. This was a nail-biter maneuver, trying to use the two rockets to angle us to stop ourselves from going too far sideways and down too fast. But I think we've killed our speed enough. We can use the rockets, the small rockets, to land ourselves, and yeah, that's looking good. Yes. And awesome, we have landed. Now all we have to do is drive over to there. While we're doing that, let's read out some comments. Well, Daniel asked about, can I do SSTOs while using fire? And to be truthful, I'm no good at faceplanes at all. But he did suggest about building a new base or something using SSTO. Perhaps we could do in this series or another one. Let me know if anyone else would like to do that in this series. Also, we have Jared Olsen. You should start playing Ark. I have. And it's an awesome game. I just need time to play it. And I've done some recordings, but I weren't happy with my commentary. I'm not good with live commentary. From Andrew, he asked, what mod am I using to map the man? That is ScanSat. Awesome mod. He also says that I taught him to play KSP. Awesome. Matt Maths, first like, then watch. And John, he said, awesome. Cheers, buddy. From Just Us Raiding Dutch, I would definitely want you to check out mods 10 Taras and 10 Taras 2.5 and Contrast. I replied to him saying, yes, they look like awesome mods. They're rockets that you could use for certain missions, and they look absolutely cool. So yes, I may use them for doing satellite launches to other planets or something. From Dregs, oh yeah, he advised me I can do right click while I'm in the VAB to put multiple parts in the container units, which was awesome. Cheers, buddy. From someone I can't read the name of, always cool, thank you. From David, then, oh yeah, can't believe it's part 21 already. I know, it's flown by for me as well. I almost missed this one. Jeff 300, yes, I did comment on I did read your comment out in the last video, and this might help you in a short-term memory. Great work, keep it up. Cheers, buddy, I will keep it up. And who else we got? Oh yeah, Virik is 67, a long-time subscriber. He says, I don't think I've been to any of the anomalies before, so it's great to see that I'm doing it. And that assumes that none of them are buried or are visible. So yes, thank you, buddy, yes. That buried monument took ages for me to find. I know I didn't put it all on video because it was a bit too long. And anyway, let's get back to the mission at hand and watch this rocket decoupling now. I know, yes, well, we decouple these, it almost hit the rocket. Perhaps I should think about redesigning the Sepratron method of that. And I have no idea why they spun up like that. That was a bit odd. Perhaps there was a bit of rotation in the rocket as I decoupled them. Anyway, let's get pointing. As you can see, the inclination was quite far off, so the maneuver node was quite far off from the prograde vector. But that's okay. If you can adjust the maneuver, if you can do the inclination change, it's best to do it on the burns that you're going to use, either to get into orbit or head towards the asteroid, or wherever you're going to, even if it's a planet. As you can see, this is the orbit burn, and I decoupled this rocket here so we can deorbit, even though there's a lot of fuel on it. I think that's bad design practice on my case as an engineer, because you should really have only just enough fuel, otherwise the rocket would be quite big, quite heavy, and if I had money in this game, I'd be losing out. Okay, so setting up our intercept orbit, easy tip, just mess around with that maneuver. Don't forget you can move the maneuver node around a bit, and if like this you overburn, don't worry, you can turn the rocket around and burn backwards until you get your maneuver node back. But do that as soon as possible. That also is bad practice. Try to stay in map mode when you're burning. Okay, so now that's enough of my tips. The only last one I can give you is when docking. Align everything out as far as possible. Obviously get close to your spacecraft or wherever you're going to dock to, so you can select the port. And then align, but give yourself enough distance. Like this here, we're quite far out. I'm using the docking alignment tool. If you haven't got that, just align the nodes as possible, or the docking ports as best as possible. Just guess it. That's the best point. You can do fine corrections as you get closer. And then, well, just go in. Once you think you've aligned it, thrust forward. And if you look at the nav ball, you've got the prograde vector, and also you've got the marker for the target. In this case, it's the docking port. In my rendezvous and docking tutorial, I show you that you can align them so they're perfectly over each other. And by here, it just flashed off there. I didn't leave it on long enough. Sorry. And then come in slowly for your docking. Make sure it's about 5 meters per... Sorry. From 1 to 0.5 meters per second. Otherwise, you can knock everything about a bit. I've done it before. I've knocked the asteroid and it's gone spinning, and docking was extremely hard. So yes, be careful when you're docking. Alright, there's just one last thing now to do. Let's get Sean Kirby out for his asteroid duties. And yes, I got an engineer up here so we can use the Kerbal attachment system, which is an awesome mod, by the way. If you haven't got it installed, I recommend it highly. But also get the Kerbal inventory system, so that the Kerbals can carry stuff, and you have containers, like we do on the space station here. And they can do things like attach these struts and link them together. Now, they're not the standard struts you get in the game, they're advanced ones which comes with the Kerbal attachment system that allow you to link things. And hey presto, it has been linked. It is now stable and the living quarters are ready to be lived in. Now there's one little duty that Sean Cummer had to do. I noticed the power of the space station, oh sorry, not the space station, the asteroid station, go far now, the Smith God, was running out of power, so I had decided, I had these thermal, what do you call it, electric generators or something. Yes, and you see the power's still down. Now, I wasn't sure if it's too far away from the actual station itself. Perhaps it doesn't work if you attach it to the asteroid. But however, we do have one thing. We've got a spare. Yes, just in case. We've got our spare thermal link generator, and we'll attach that now to the station itself, and hopefully that'll generate extra power that we desperately need. Because, well, if you didn't have power, the heating systems wouldn't come on, and the asteroid is blocking the sun, so the Kerbals would get really cold. And things like they won't be able to watch TV and enjoy anything like that. Or a shower, which would be a bad idea in space, I suppose, because the water would be going all over the place. You'd have some. I suppose just having a shower in space, you'd have to have a nozzle to shower you with water, and then you have to have something to suck the water, and you'd have to be in an enclosed space. But then what if something doesn't work? Oh yeah, and I found out you just turn the SAS off, and hey presto, the power comes back. So anyway, that radioisotope generator is going to radiate our Kerbals, and that's why I attached it to the other side of the station, or the asteroid base. There you go. They're glowing green anyway, so it's not going to hurt them. You won't notice anything different. Anyway, we have other things to do, like adding another module to our asteroid base. Yes, I said there'll be lots of docking in this episode, and we're not finished yet. So, a quick skip in the launch and the arrival of the asteroid base. As you see on the right of the screen there, we have a lot of space junk. We'll have to do something with that. And again, this was a shoulder joint. No, it wasn't a shoulder joint, sorry, excuse me. This was actually the docking port. Now, I realised we needed supplies, and I didn't want to use the docking ports that were meant for, other modules to create our base. Because I want to have the base, so like, the arms of that base crawl around and reconnect on the other side of the asteroid. And I think that would be awesome design. So, yeah, trying to dock with this, I almost picked the wrong docking port as you just saw. But trying to maneuver this with the RCS off-center again, I have my dad. Yes, I should really re-engineer every launch to be specific for that module. So you see, I'm having a lot of problems in knocking the asteroid base about. I'm really close on this, and I don't want to give up, so I keep on knocking it. But the best thing to do at this point is disengage the SAS and use the translate tools. If you're using them, I, J, K, and L, or if you're in docking mode, use the WASD keys. And hey presto, we have successfully done so. After a lot of work, I must admit that must have taken me half an hour to do. In total from launch, by the way, not just docking. Okay, the last thing now, we have to secure this. Sean Curran, earning his paycheck. We've also got a scientist and a pilot on the base. I'm pretending, no, actually, this is real life now. Oh yes, and before I forget, I attached 2 mech jeb units to this. The reason why I didn't decouple the last rocket was because there was no control on it. I forgot to put a mech jeb unit on it that we could deorbit it. So that is attached 2 mech jeb units to the other rocket we just docked. So we can now decouple them both. And have a look at this rocket. Yes, it has not detached again. The same problem. The other rocket was fine. I have no idea. I'm going to have to redesign the struts. So, Sean coming out again. And we tried to decouple detach the decoupler again. But no, it's a root part. So, rocket again. The problem with this is it's going to be space junk, and Sean Cohen is crapping himself because he's worried he's going to be crushed by all this debris. But he gets out of the way in time, and that means now we can deorbit both the supply craft, I suppose you can call them module supply craft, and let them deorbit while we escape the Mun. Right, here we are, escape from the Mun, and here we have Nina Curran on the rover. She has travelled far on that rover looking for ore deposits for the second mining base. But now her mission is complete. Also, we have, what is Bardolin, I think, Kerman, and we also have Harkus Kerman, who are at last going to get home. So one last look at the base, and then they can take off. Once the space station's rammer is in the correct position, we can launch into orbit. The reason why they did not launch from the Mun directly towards Kirby was because they did not have enough Delta V on this rocket, and also the no parachutes or re-entry heat shields to return to Kerbin. So here we are, docking with a very high lag, I might add. Rama space station, I think, was doing 3 frames per second according to my recording software. But however, we attach, we dock safely, and we transfer all the crew of the space station as well, because we no longer require it as an ore processing facility. And undocking from the space station the last time. We have fond memories of this, especially the passive docking from the Surveyor. We can now return to Kerbin, set in a return trajectory to enter the atmosphere of Kerbin with one fell swoop, or, well, one blast of the engine. And it looks like we're going to pass the manned space station again. That damn lagginess. How dare you? Come on, Crispy, we want multi-threading. Anyway, saying bye to the Kerbal, to the Rama space station for the last time. Perhaps we should put explosives on it. That would have been fun. Never mind. Now, finishing the maneuver node with a manual burn so we can get the height. I suggest, if you're coming from the man, 10 kilometers at lowest point. Don't go anywhere lower than that, otherwise you'll go through the atmosphere too quick and even your heat shield will not save you. But now here we are, we're going to test the man escape system, or as I think I call this, as we'll see soon. Help me, I'm a Kerbal, get me out here. Yeah, yes, I named it that. Anyway, entering the atmosphere. Trying to reorientate the rocket in the correct direction near Kerbin, realizing that this was a mistake because we have the rocket engine in tow. Decoupling it at an odd angle and then reorientating ourselves to point retrograde so that the high intensity shock heating of the atmosphere is now below us. Oh dear, we're coming in. Everything's getting hot. Hopefully that decoupler will not flip us over and disintegrate the craft. Nina here, trying to spin the decoupler off out of the way, but it explodes, still attached, and luckily it did not damage the heat shield. So yes, we are surviving. The orbit is coming down fast. It looks like we are going to re-enter and return to Kerbin at this. Will the heat shield be sufficient though to help us survive? We hear explosions off in the distance. This must be the rocket that brought us back to Kerbin safely. But then things start going awry. Yes, we had an odd angle. It must have been the aerodynamics pushing us off course, and things start exploding. Every explosion got me worried that one of the capsules had exploded. Yes, really, I was absolutely terrified of this. I couldn't even speak while I was doing this. So I decided to initiate the rotation turn. Hopefully we can get different parts of this craft into the fiery depths of the atmosphere before any of them explode. And either that paid off or nothing else was going to explode anyway. Because we now come out of the thermal shock heating and into hypersonic speeds. Yes, we survived. Just one last thing to do, and that's hopefully going to work. We've got 2 decouplers to go and parachutes to deploy. Hopefully all will deploy in one go safely. We are now just waiting for the parachutes to say that it is safe to deploy. Then we can stage the final stage of this mission for mining the Mun, or at least the first iteration of the base. And now that we have the Mark II base up and running, we can return these Kerbals safely. And yep, okay, that pod is going down quite fast. I'm worried by here that it'll go out of distance, but I think they've increased the distance of that craft in the atmosphere can load, so we should be safe. Either way, that we're not going to risk it. Angle the pod so we can travel a bit quicker down towards this pod. But then we run the risk of going a bit too far away from the other pod. hopefully this will work out for the better. Okay, I have to give heads up for you. A mistake is going to be made. And you're saying, why? How can you make a mistake? You're just waiting for the parachute to open. You know, what can I do wrong? Yeah, ooh, look at that. And wait for the next one. It's going to drop down and... whoosh, parachute open. Yes, everything's going fine. Well, everything was going slowly, so I decided, let's do a bit of physical time acceleration by here. If I do it in a moment. Yep, here we go. Okay, wait for it. Okay, at this point, I'm worried that the time accelerate, as it did in past versions of the game, once we hit the water at full time physical time acceleration, something will go wrong and the capsule will explode and not survive, which has happened in the past too. So being cautious, I drop out with time acceleration just as we hit the water, and I decide to time accelerate. Not remembering that once you do that, once you're stationary, it goes to full game time acceleration. So therefore, the two pods being in full time acceleration under 25 kilometers have disappeared from the game. They have vanished into wormholes. Not again. What's going on? Anyway, Nina's back safely. That's all that matters. I'm going to say they returned to the base without Nina. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button. Only if you enjoyed it, mind. And if you're not already and you'll enjoy this video, subscribe, because I will be continuing these videos. As always, guys, let me know what you want me to do in this series. Next episode, I'm going to continue building the asteroid base and send a rescue mission to a stranded astronaut on the surface of the moon. Trust me, I'm an engineer.